Okay, so we've seen how we can define our own aliases. What I want to show you in this video is how we can find useful aliases. So there are lots of blog posts and Reddit posts about different Git aliases, and share your favorite Git aliases, Stack Overflow, and so on. Why don't we take a look at, how about this one right here? So this is a blog post. I'll include these links as resources. And there's a couple on here, like this one right here, ls, that is basically a very pretty formatted way of updating git log. So you could type this yourself. This is just a very fancy way of updating the display for git log. So we can change the color, but we can also reorder things and show the hash first, and then a message, and then an author inside of curly braces, or square brackets rather. These are all things you can actually tweak too. But if we wanted this one, we just copy it. Take this and put it in our git config. Okay, so let's try it. This is what my regular git log looks like. Here's what one line looks like. I could also do it this way. Okay, and then here is what this new alias looks like. And I'm pretty zoomed in. But if we take a look now, right, we see the commit hash. We see the message, and then we see the committer, I believe is what this is, not the author. Anyway, here's another example. So this one looks pretty useful. Git ll. This will list commits showing changed files. So if I want to know more about, what changed within a given commit and which files were updated, this is going to be kind of a nightmare to look at, I'm sure. But if I do git ll, oh, it's actually not so bad. You can see in one commit I changed README and Node.js, or this is a React repo. We can see in other commits quite a few files, lots of files were changed. So that could be very useful as well, right? This is more than just saving us time. This is actually giving us functionality that we probably wouldn't have used otherwise. I'm not going to go and type this. I'm not going to remember it, let alone type it. But this can be very useful now to have this option at our disposal. And there are quite a few others on just this one blog post. For example, this one, depending on your workflow and the company you work for, if they have a specific workflow, this can be nice. This is a command that just renames branches by prepending done to their name. So it's a very long-looking command, and this isn't, a lot of work to do without an alias, but it's nice just to have this alias done and be able to just say get done. What you'll see on some of these commands, however, we have not talked about, is an exclamation point. What that means, if it's in a Git alias, it actually tells Git that this is a shell script. So that gives us access to things that are not Git commands, like if you're familiar with grep or echo, or really any commands that we would use in our shell. So we can combine those with Git commands, though we do need to then use Git. So instead of just branch, Git branch, or Git config, and so on. Anyway, this one lists all the aliases that you have set up. So that could be useful if in case you ever forget the different aliases, which, for some of these, if you don't use them all the time, they're still good to have around, right? Even if you don't remember that this is LL, if you are able to just access all your aliases quickly, that's what this will do. So again, this one is in quotes because it's telling Git this is going to be a shell script. That's what the exclamation point means. And that gives us access to things like grep, rather, not grip. So if I try this, git la, list aliases, there's a list of my aliases. And I think that's enough for now. I don't want to waste your time, just as I go through these and sort of pick them out one at a time and show you them. You can set these up on your own. I'll include all of these links. Figure out what works for you. One word of caution, if you are working, this is coming from my personal experience. If you use aliases, and I use them a lot in my personal life, or especially I used to, when I started teaching more, I realized how heavily I actually had relied on aliases, or like my muscle memory was just accustomed to my personal aliases. So if you're working on someone else's computer, a coworker, or in my case, students, I just kept typing things that didn't exist. So a word of mild warning. There's a reason I didn't have everybody set up aliases on day one of this course, or lecture one. It would have made the videos shorter, but you need to understand the underlying commands and remember what they are. but aliases can be a nice tool to save you some time. So take a look at some of the links I've included. There's a whole file full of aliases, a very comprehensive file that I'll include. It's from a Git repo called GitAlias, and you can read more about it. It's pretty popular. And it has a README that explains how it works. There's kind of a system for the way that these aliases are set up. It's not just a hodgepodge of useful aliases. They actually follow a particular format that has some rules. Anyway, I'll let you explore that on your own. And that's really it for this section on aliases.